सोमनाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, निताय चैतन्य की जय, परशुराम भगवान की जय, वामन देव की जय, पंचतत्व की जय, गिरि गोवर्धन ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we're doing the chapter number 18. This is the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation, and today's verse that we're doing here is it's a chanting sound behind. I hope you're able to hear me. Hare Krishna. Is the sound still there? It's fine now. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. So Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we're talking about the chapter number 18, verse number 46. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. This is a very significant verse which talks about how we can attain perfection simply by performing my prescribed duties. See, it says Swakarmanam tam abhyarcha, and it's not enough just to do my duties. Okay, here is the thing. A lot of people, they get confused here, right? So they say, you know what, we understood Bhagavad Gita and Karma Yoga is this, just do your duty. Okay, do your duty is just one part of it. What about the most important part of it, the second part of it? That's what is clarified here in this verse. Okay, that's one part of it, do your duty. But what about the other part? Just see again. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmana tam abhyarcha. Abhyarcha means worship the Lord. By the worship of the Lord. Who is this Lord? Who is the source of all living beings and who is all pervading, by worshipping Krishna. So this is a very important point which we miss, don't we? They just say, okay, just do your duty and you'll go back to God. So anybody, just do your duty, you'll go back to God. So that's not the thing. So the thing is, by doing your duty, whatever work you're doing it, you do it and do your work as a worship to the Lord. And that means whatever you do, you offer it to the Lord. Okay. So what does that mean? How do you offer your work to Lord? Right? Let's try to understand that part of it. And also, let's try to understand to whom should we dedicate this work? Who is he? So here it is being said, who is the source of all the things, who is all pervading. Okay. So that we will see. Whom are we talking about? So we are talking about Lord Krishna. You see, source of all living beings, here the word has been used as the source of all living beings. Why was that used? Because it is said, Bhutanam yena sarvam. So pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam. That means Lord is all pervasive. So bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam. That means he is all pervasive. Okay, and yata pravritti means his emanation is all pervasive. That is the exact translation. That means Lord Krishna's expansion is the super soul. So Lord Krishna, there's no difference between him and the expansion. That's why we say Lord Krishna is the super soul. But if you have to be very accurate, it is like Lord Krishna's expansion is the super soul expansion. Why are we saying that? You see, in the Vedanta Sutras, there's a sutra called Janmadhyasya Yataha. Janmadhyasya Yataha means Janma Adi Yasya. Janma means creation and maintenance and destruction. So the person from whom the creation, maintenance, and destruction is happening. That's Lord Krishna. Same verse is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. You see, at least the first Janmadhyasya Yataha is a sutra from Vedanta Sutras. And the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam starts with the Vedanta Sutras. Now, what does that say? Okay, that means that you see the Vedanta Sutras, the commentary of these Vedanta Sutras is Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first verse itself is Janmadhyasya Yatah Itaratah. So that's a very beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so the point here is the second thing that which was said, that he is all pervasive. He's the source of all the living beings and he is all pervasive. And the most important point is Tam Abhyarcha. We have to worship him. It's not possible that I don't worship him and I expect that the results, because that's the crucial part of it. Without worship of Lord Krishna, we will never attain perfection. It remains a material work. Whatever work we do, doing our duty, it becomes a material duty. There is no spiritual in that. It's purely material. So unless we worship Krishna, there is no chance that we may get liberated. Okay, so in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying here that, you see, Lord Krishna has got two energies by which he is all pervasive. What are the two energies that by which he is all pervasive? The first energy is the internal energy. Second energy is the external energy. You see, external energy is the material energy. Internal energy is the spiritual energy. These are the two major energies. So as far as the devotees are concerned, what do they do? Whom do they worship? Do they worship the external energy of Krishna or the internal energy and the Supreme Lord?
Internal.
They worship Lord Krishna with the internal energy. Correct. They don't worship the external energy of Krishna, even though external energy is Krishna's energy. But still, we prefer to worship Krishna and his internal energy. That is Radharani and Krishna. We worship Radharani and Krishna. We don't worship the external energy of Krishna, the material energy. So he's all pervasive when we say that is that there is some kind of a background energy that is running this whole universe. That's the external energy. Okay. So Supreme Lord, by the expansion of his plenary portion known as Paramatma, is situated everywhere. He is the super soul of all the demigods, all human beings, all animals, everywhere. So he is the super soul for all the demigods also. You see? So every demigod has a Paramatma inside him. But Krishna doesn't have Paramatma inside him. The reason is Krishna himself is Paramatma. Okay, Krishna doesn't have a Paramatma. Krishna doesn't have a body. There's no difference between Krishna and his body. His body is not made up of the Panchabhutas like us. Even the demigods, they may leave their body and then again they will be, going through the cycle. But it doesn't happen with Krishna like that. Okay. That's why he says in Bhagavad Gita, he says that, I come with my own internal potency. Okay, Atmaya. That means he descends with his own internal potency, he descends. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, so the thing is, now that we understand that Krishna is the super soul. Now, if Krishna is the super soul, then who am I? Or who are we? Who are we? We are the souls. The soul is a part and parcel of the super soul. So the part and parcel of the super soul, what is the duty of the part and parcel of the super soul? So the duty of the part and parcel of the super soul is to worship the super soul. Okay. So to worship the super soul is the duty of the soul. Similarly, that's the reason why Bhagavad Gita is strongly recommending that we must worship Lord Sri Krishna. because Lord Sri Krishna is not a demigod that you worship him and he'll give you something. That's not the transactional relationship that we have with Lord Krishna. It's slightly different. It's very different. The difference is Lord Sri Krishna is a super soul within us. And it is a duty for everybody to worship him. Okay? So then, if we always worship him, if we are in full Krishna consciousness, then we can become fully aware of everything by the grace of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay? So then, Lord Sri Krishna himself will take charge of delivering such a devotee. Any devotee who is always thinking about Krishna, Lord Krishna will take the charge. So this is called the highest perfection of life. So the whole point is, whatever occupation one may be engaged, if he serves the Supreme Lord, then he will attain the highest perfection. This is the secret, right? It doesn't matter whatever occupation you may be doing. It may be any occupation, but the point is you must worship Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, that's the secret. Okay, now let's discuss a little bit about what is this whole thing about worshipping Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, how do we understand that? I'll tell you one example, okay? So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's given what are the duties of the Grihasthas. So since I'm assuming a lot of people here are Grihasthas, householders, so I'll just take the example of this Varnashrama Dharma, among that Grihasthas. What is the recommendation given to Grihasthas? How they must live, how they must lead their life. Okay? And then we will see how is this recommendation connected with Tamabhyarcha, that is worshipping Lord Krishna. Okay, let's hear that. So the thing is, see the Grihastha duties. So the first and foremost duty of a householder is to satisfy Krishna. Okay, what's that? By performing devotional service based on the instructions of the authorities. It's not whimsical devotional service. I do whatever I want to do. No, that's not the thing. Based on the instructions of the authorities, spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, Guru Parampara, by associating with the devotees. This is one of the duties that, the householders must be associated with the devotees. And we must visit the holy places of Lord Sri Krishna regularly. Regularly visit the places of Lord Sri Krishna like Vrindavan, Mathura, etc. So, maintenance of family. How should that be done? So the recommendation by Narada, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada's recommendations to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So earn what is required for living. Okay, whatever is required for living, that we should earn. Not that we want to earn exorbitantly. And one must not undergo extraordinary endeavor to accumulate money. Okay, it's not that, I will work, 20, 30 years to achieve something. Such a long project. And I will work 20 hours a day, 18 hours a day. And I'm making a very big plan, massive plan, that I'll make it something very big. So this is called extraordinary endeavor to accumulate money. That should be avoided. Must not unnecessarily increase the material comfort. The minimal comfort that is possible, the best. And what should be the mindset of a grihastha or a householder? So one must be externally be very active in earning livelihood. It's not that he must become inert and do nothing and sit down and meditate. No, he must be active in earning the livelihood. That's externally, but not internally. Not internally also all the time thinking about money. No, must be internally fully self-realized. Fully self-realized internally. Internally is like very self-realized. And how to deal with the family, right? When we are in a grihastha life, we have family, we have friends, we have so many people to deal with. How to deal with them? So what's the recommendation given? So simply deal to fulfill their purpose and not to be extravagantly engaged. It's not that we engage with all our relatives, our friends and society too much. That's also not recommended. Just enough to fulfill the purpose. Not being engaged too much. So engage in trade or agriculture or cow protection. This is the recommendation. So one of these activities one must be engaged in and should not be attached to wife or spouse. Okay, being attached to too much attachment to spouse is material. In Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter also Krishna says that to be too attached with wife and children is very material. It is not knowledge, it is ignorance. Okay, so just the secret is this. It's simply to fulfill the purpose, not to be extravagantly engaged. Just fulfilling the purpose, being there is enough externally. Not that we're internally so involved in it. And by chance, what if somebody is very rich? What if by Krishna's mercy a lot of money comes? Then what is it that one person must be doing? So what is the recommendation for them? So the recommendation is engage in Krishna consciousness movement and spend in 5 activities. What are these 5 activities? Worship Lord Krishna. That's the first thing. If you have a lot of money, choose the money for worshipping Lord Krishna extravagantly. So Krishna clearly says that, okay? In some of the scriptures, like if somebody is very poor, okay, they'll worship with patram pushpam phalam toyam. They'll worship with a leaf of tulsi, they'll worship with a flower, they'll worship with a fruit. But if you are very rich, you worship very extravagantly. You build a big temple and worship Krishna. That's the way you should worship if you are very rich. So depending upon how rich you are, you will worship Krishna. And Krishna, he understands. He takes whatever worship that you do, he takes it. But he also understands that how much you can do and how much you are doing. So receiving Vaishnavas and the saintly people. So a householder must be ready to receive Vaishnavas at home. Call devotees to home. Okay, it is said that a householder's house is like the burrow of a jackal. If you don't receive saintly people in your house, if you don't receive Vaishnavas in your house, it's like a burrow of a jackal. That's it. It's not a house. Okay, distribute prasada to general public. So this is very important. Means preparing prasadam and distributing to the general public outside. As many people can eat. That's the thing. Actually, the householders must be engaged in all of these activities called charity activities, right? The social service activities are meant for the householders. They're not meant for the sannyasis at all. The sannyasis are not meant for opening hospitals, doing food distribution. That's not their business at all. Their business is to be completely spiritual. Okay, this is the business of the householders, to do service to others. Offer prasadam to forefathers. To offer oblations and prasadam to the forefathers and deliver them is one of the duties of the householders. And eating the prasadam, that is honoring the prasadam himself. You see what's going on here. So the point here is, what did we see? I was talking about the previous verse here. So let's go back to the verse. So the verse was saying here that by the worship of the Lord and by performing his own work, one can attain perfection. So how do we relate that with this? So if you are a householder, this is how you should be leading your life. The purpose is to satisfy Krishna and to be involved in maintenance of family, but not to be extravagantly into it and making very over endeavor for accumulation of money. Okay, just for the sake of living, everybody happy living, comfortable living, that's enough. Again, the definition of comforts change a lot, right? So we're not talking about extravagant living here. The simplest possible living, and then the mindset should be that externally is like externally acting as if he's working very hard, but actually internally fully realized. And the dealings with the family is not being too attached with the family and not being too involved, or what do you say? It's like should not be too attached with the spouse or wife, etc. And then not to be very extravagantly engaged, right, with the relatives. And if there's a lot of money, then you engage it in the devotional service of Krishna. So this is how, if somebody is using the money in the grihastha life also, we can go back to God. This is the point. Okay. This is how, in whatever stage you may be a householder, it doesn't matter. You may be someone, it doesn't matter. You may be anyone. Just learn how to add Krishna to your life, and your life will become perfect.